Alrighty, y'all. I wasn't really going to do a video on this, but I don't know. It seems like the conversation needs to be had at this point. Unfortunately, Kyrie Irving is out for the season. He did tear his ACL last night. I remember watching the game, and you could tell as soon as he went down that things weren't good. You could tell by the look on his face. He was like, oh no. Like, it's heartbreaking to see stuff like this. Like we just want to see the best players on the court at all times, and it's really unfortunate. But by the way, he took it like a G, went right to the free throw line, did his thing there, and then got off the court. Like that's some Kobe type stuff, man, and some Klay Thompson type stuff as well. So very very cool. But no, we wish Kyrie a speedy recovery. We hope that he gets back on the court again sometime soon. But what does this mean for Dallas now, man? I hate to be the one to say it, and look, we're all thinking it. This is quite literally the worst season I could possibly imagine for a team. Being in the finals last year, the Kyrie Irving era in Dallas has been good. Like, he seems to be loving it there. He gets along with Jason Kidd really well. Him and Luka are brothers. Like I said, they go to the finals last year. They build up this team in the offseason that we all think, wow, look at this amazing depth that they've built here. And then the Luka trade happens, right? And they bring in Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis goes down right away. Derek Lively's been out. Daniel Gafford's been out. We saw Jaden Hardy's going down now. It's just, oh my gosh, it's like the worst thing I've ever seen. I can't imagine being a Mavericks fan at this point. For my Mavericks fans out there, like, I genuinely feel bad. Like, you've been robbed of so much just joy over the next couple of years because somebody just decided to do something stupid in a trade. And look, it's even if Luka was still here, right, like this would be extremely catastrophic. Who knows what things would look like at this point, but it's just unfortunate. So I don't need to beat a dead horse. You guys understand that this is bad. What does this mean going forward? So Kyrie Irving has an option. Maybe I should pull up Fanspo or something like that just so we can like take a look at like Kyrie Irving's numbers. So he has a player option after this year. Let's take a look at his current contract. Yep, so Kyrie, there we are, right there. A player option for 2025, 2026 right here. Basic common sense tells me that he probably accepts that, right? He probably accepts that just because look, it's usually 9-10 months with an ACL, and then you have to get yourself kind of back into like game shape as well. So we're looking at probably December of next year, maybe after the New Year's if you want to be conservative. This is a how old is he at this point? What, he's like 33 or something like that? How old is Kyrie? Do we have an age here? He's 32. All right, that was close enough. I've seen some people online saying like, oh, this is it for Kyrie. No. ACL surgeries are pretty good nowadays, so I think we're going to see him come back. What he looks like after that is another question, but Kyrie's quite the athlete, so I'd like to think he'd be able to recover. Like, you guys would be surprised, like, a lot of times we see, like, oh, X athlete goes down, like, and he was a really good athlete. That's a shame. Usually, like, the better the athlete, the better they end up recovering, because your body's just able to take on a little bit more. But I'm not a doctor, so don't take too much of my word for it. I'm just talking from what I have seen and observed and heard from people. But you have to assume he probably opts into that contract because you're not going to go into this off season, try to sign with someone when you're going to be out for most of it and they don't know what they're going to get out of you. You have to assume Kyrie's still pretty content there because he's historically let us know when he's not very happy about things, right? So I have to assume Kyrie Irving's going to be back. If you're the Dallas Mavericks, how do you make up for backcourt production now? Obviously, you don't have Luka, so you were going to put a lot on Kyrie. By the way, like they were playing Kyrie way too many minutes. He was like way too many minutes. That was a whole nother thing, but didn't have Luka anymore, and they've kind of built a lot of their scheme around having very extensive guard play. They don't have a lot of other ball handlers on the team, so I'm not surprised that they felt the need to do that. It still wasn't smart, but is what it is. So how do you make up for backcourt production next year? I don't know. I've seen the thing about like, oh, they were going to trade a bunch of depth for a KD trade. I think that would have made some sense. I've seen mixed reviews about that, and we don't need to debate that anymore because I can't imagine that's going to happen at this point. And if you're Anthony Davis, how do you feel right now as well? You just got traded to this situation. It's sounding like Anthony Davis is probably not going to come back this year. They're probably just going to be conservative with him because, look, this season's a wash, right? It's just a wash. There's no hope anymore. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, but there just is no hope, right? Taking a look at Anthony Davis's contract, he's good for this year, and then he's got the player option after that. So you assume, because how old is AD? Like 30, 31? Yeah, 31 years old. Probably got another 4 or 5 years left of high-level production. You hope, like, is this where he wants to be? now? You have to ask that question. I mean, he just got here. Things have been pretty bad so far since he got here. I like playing next to Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. I'm sure Klay Thompson's a cool guy, right? But Kyrie Irving injured. You're kind of the only guy on the team now. Things are just rocky as it is. Does Anthony Davis get moved? No, there's no way they could move Anthony Davis. I know that thought just came into my head, but could you imagine just like what that would do to Nico Harrison? Like, I can't imagine Nico Harrison makes it through this year. I can't imagine he does, right? There's just no way. I don't want to call for a job, but let's just use common sense and say there's no way he makes it like past this season, right? They'll keep him through the end of the regular season, then get rid of him, right? They just have to. He's never going to get a GM job again after this. It's too much bad press. There just is too much bad press, but I'm sure he'll work in the NBA after this, but no, there's no way. This is such a catastrophic thing. The team feels a little cursed at this point, right? I know that's been thrown around. That's not really the scientific or basketball analysis you come to me for, but it doesn't feel like the basketball gods have punished the Mavericks, and unfortunately, in doing so, you've punished the fans more than anybody. It's just, I don't know, man. It's brutal. I can't imagine him wanting to stick around here afterwards, right? Like, is this what you really want to be doing in like the later years of your career? I would have just imagined they'd want to be doing something else at this point. So I don't know. It's pretty catastrophic. If you're a Mavericks fan, I'm sorry. If you guys see some Mavericks fans in the comments, give them your best, man, because no matter what team you root for, it's just not worse than them. And looking ahead to next season, right? I mean, we could go over to the Dallas Mavericks. Like, what are we looking at this year? I'm sorry that they still have Luka on here. I'm so sorry. Like, you assume you get a healthy Anthony Davis next year, really elite basketball player, right? After that, what are you looking at for guard play? We've got Hardy, who will hopefully be healthy by then. He can score. You got Spencer Dinwiddie if you re-sign him. Max Christie. Dante Exum. Yeah, no, this ain't looking pretty. This ain't looking pretty. It's such a shame. This was a really great basketball team. It really was. Like, best case scenario next year, you guys are probably a play-in, right? Just Anthony Davis and then presume depth. After that, like some solid basketball players around you, that's at best playing, right? Like, the West is good. The West is always really good. So I just have to imagine somebody's going to get better. And I don't know. I feel like one of the rookies coming in on one of these bad teams ends up on the West, and they're like okay to start. Wemby is back with the Spurs by next year, and hopefully they're a little bit better by then. It feels like you're playing at most for a play-in. So I don't know. I feel like I've talked about it enough. I just wanted to address it. I'm sad because Kyrie's just one of my favorite players to watch. He's a lot of fun. This Mavericks team, like, I'm a Bulls fan, right? But it was one of my other just favorite teams to watch just because I liked the team that they had. It had its flaws, don't get me wrong, and like it's not like everything was perfect, but it was a really fun group. And I'm sorry to say that the Mavericks are just, they're in a really bad spot going forward, y'all. They really, really are. And if you're a fan, I don't know how you can like trust this team going forward, because that's just how rough of a year it's been, especially when you see Luka. And I know Luka's not playing like phenomenal right now, but him and the Lakers and JJ Redick utilizing this like not very talented group and just kind of willing them as far as he can go. It's hard. It's really, really hard. All right, I'm not going to beat a dead horse anymore. I'm sorry about this. We hope for the best. And yeah, leave me some comments down below. What do you guys think of all of this? Like, what do you think happens to Kyrie after this? I mean, well, let's actually think about one more thing. Let's say Kyrie opts out, right? Is there any realm or possibility that he opts out, takes a small contract, and then goes to like a different team with the promise of joining like halfway through the season? Well, you lose bird rights then, because then he can't get as big of a contract after that. He'd be leaving a lot of money on the table. But I don't know. There has to be a part of him that's thinking like, after the Luka trade, like, hey, this ain't it, man. And I bet you Jason Kidd's like, hey, bring me with you, dog. This is whack. Like, I don't know. Could you imagine? Just have a moment with me really quick, right? Just have a moment with me. He opts out, goes to the Lakers. Oh my, that's the only way it could get worse. But I've thrown it out into the universe now. We're here, right? We're here. All right, leave me a comment. What do you think is going to happen? What are your thoughts on this? If you're a Mavericks fan, let me know. I'll send you some love in the comments back, because you guys know I respond to every single one. But all right, appreciate you guys as always. Talk to you later. Bye.